Hello, dear hearts and gentle people, providing you yet another update, of course, on the Streets LA attempted TRO, trying to get that TRO, temporary restraining order, remain in place so it could be a permanent restraining order. So we'll start with the headline of today. Everybody is waiting with bated breath, hoping that today will provide the resolution, that today has provided the ultimate resolution. Well, guess what? Scientology, yet again, successful in kicking the old can, yet again, down the road. So on July 2nd, there should actually be a ruling. We're getting close to the finish line, but there was quite a bit of testimony that William had to do with his attorney, and then by the time that the plaintiff's team got to William, there's only about 20 minutes left. So of course, the attorney for the plaintiff's team wanted to continue until a later date. So yet again, there is no definitive news as to the actual result, but a lot of juicy meat as a result of this various cross-examinations. And I would like to say it's kind of rock'em sock'em robot time. Very aggressive team that the plaintiff had, did their job, but again, as you can see, similar to last time, they essentially spent the entire day when they were questioning William, or the only 30 minutes they had when they were questioning him, to essentially grasp at straws. So guys, forgive me if I pause a little more than I did before, only because there was so much information here. I'll be consulting with my notes and looking back and forth. So with that being said, William was first examined by his attorney. Now, if we recall, and as a witness, obviously, or as the person in the center of the trial, as we know from yesterday, there was an attempt when Jessica Palma-Dessa was a witness to get Jessica Palma-Dessa to reveal how much money she actually makes from TikTok. She very definitely did not answer that question because, of course, the team for the plaintiffs, the attorney for the plaintiff would try to use that against her. Here's the thing, though. In terms of William, that question should very much be on the table because some really interesting information was revealed about how much, or does even, William profit from his police activism work and from his protests of Scientology. So she asked, how much do you actually, what is the actual payout from all of your footage, from all of your activism, from your YouTube page and other social media channels? He said it could be anywhere from $2,000 to $15,000 a month. But here's the catch. William had his own business before, as he testified. He has a very comfortable stream of income. He testified, and it wasn't negated by the plaintiff's team, so it seemed like it was a pretty valid testimony, that William has put back every single dollar that he's made, whether it be from his police activism videos or auditing the police, or whether it be from protesting Scientology. He has put that back into either helping out the homeless community or getting the protesters back. What that means is if their phone gets broken or confiscated or stolen, then William will oftentimes buy them a new phone. So he wants to encourage people protesting and obviously sticking it to Scientology. The way he could do that is to obviously help them out if they run into some comeuppance as they are in the midst of protesting. So that was very interesting, and I think that the plaintiff's team really wanted to indicate that William's direct interaction with Joey and him supposedly, which is not true, starting these interactions with Joey, that was simply because he wanted to make a personal profit. So that whole idea was shot down by William's very deft and effective attorney. So she cross-examined him for quite some time. Then it was time for the team for the plaintiffs, their boutique law firm, funded, of course, by Scientology. And that's where things got pretty aggressive. Here's one weird argument that was made. The attorney for the plaintiff says, the day the TRO was ordered, William went to the police station, and when he entered the police station, or outside of the police station, he encountered Joey. prosecution tried to claim that this is evidence of William harassing and stalking Joey. This is because the attorney said, well, wouldn't it be reasonable that Joey would be at the police station just a handful of hours, and you know which police station he would be at because you know which jurisdiction he hangs out in, right? And he even knows the address because of the TRO, that William was going there to confront Joey. William said that there was some police malfeasance and he needed to talk to a representative at the police station and bring it to their attention and kind of whistleblow on some poor behavior acted upon on behalf of the cops. Sheer coincidence that William would run into Joey. But the attorney, again, they really have such little to work with. He was trying to claim that William was making a concerted effort to go to the police station to actually meet Joey. Bit of a stretch, if you don't ask me. Then, so another key point. There's some dialogue about generally who starts what interaction and what was the creation of the first interaction. That was, and this is when William's attorney was asking him, that was when Joey essentially said he would pray for his son. That there was some, back and forth words, some mild argument. Obviously, Joey wasn't happy that they were there protesting, and that kind of randomly, Joey brought this up. So it shows that Joey was the first person to sort of antagonize William, and it wasn't the other way around. And not only did Joey antagonize William, but his words were intended to cause emotional distress to William specifically. When you talk about somebody's passed away child, that's more than just saying screw you or I think you're an asshole. That is a clear intention to cause emotional distress and emotional pain. So again, another impressive win, because again, Joey wanted to project that he was this frail old man minding his own business, and that William sort of started harassing him out of thin air with no real impetus on William's part, that William just kind of did it out of the blue because he wanted to create a target, and he had a target specifically on Joey's back. Well, not necessarily the case when Joey is the first one to bring up the passed away son. Looking at some other another fascinating thing. And again, this all plays into the theme that the team for the plaintiff really has nothing to work with. And guys, this is why I think somebody comment this is the longest restraining order hearing perhaps in the world, and I think they might be right. But I think that's another thing that Scientology likes to do, is they like to keep the person in court as much as possible so those billable hours could come out, and they could create a message saying you will be financially screwed even if you lose against Scientology. If you go to court with them or challenge how they go to court with you, you will be financially screwed. So it's not too surprising that this thing is yet again delayed. But another big aspect that was talked about was the name of Joey. Amazingly, even though Jessica Palma-Dessa sort of put that to bed yesterday, they wanted to indicate that William calling Joey, I think he wants to be called Rocket apparently, which is kind of even weirder, but that William calling Joey instead of an alternative name was this intentional sign of disrespect. And then the attorney for the plaintiff got super animated and loud, and he said, well, what if I just say Bill? What if I say Bill? What if I call you Bill? Hey, Bill. Isn't that rude? Like super, like as loud as literally I was being, that attorney was actually being that loud. So he kept saying, well, what if I called you Will? Wouldn't that be rude? Joey apparently has not called Streets LA Bill. What if I called you Bill instead of William? Or Will, if I called you Bill, that would be more condescending, just like if you called the guy Joey instead of frickin' Rocket, or whatever his preferred name might have been, or Joseph, or whatever it might have been. Again, guys, this is what they're working with. There's really not a lot here. Another big aspect was the back and forth about threats. And William has claimed, after he threatened to hit somebody, that it was him trying to actually de-escalate a situation, because he was essentially warning Joey, because Joey was being aggressive again in the conversation with his son. And there was this one specific night where there was a bevy of young people, a bunch of 12-year-old kids who were being more hostile to Joey than Will has ever been, and causing a problem. Joey claimed that after that warning Joey, Will claimed after warning Joey that he was also attempting to take the 12-year-old kids and remove them from the situation. And he said that he kind of made this threat also in self-defense. Specifically, Will says that he made this threat in legal self-defense. So he could say he gave Joey a warning, he's tried to separate the situation, he's put a spotlight on the severity of and the emotions that William is feeling. So he felt like to defend himself legally, obviously use your words, don't use anything, and also try to separate a bunch of kids who are more antagonistic than usual towards Joey. So that was interesting too. Another big thing is that the lawyer tried to really make image a part of this. Joey's diminutive, right? I mean, he kind of looks like if Billy Idol lived and let himself go, he would find Joey. So the attorney for Joey asked Will, he said, "How tall are you?" Will said 6'4". And he said, "What, did you play high school in football?" And of course, Will said, "Yes, I played high school in football." Obviously, to paint a picture that nobody could feel threatened by Joey. Nobody could feel like their legal future or their safety would be in danger because of Joey. And that this whole thing was unfair. Obviously, he did not ask how tall Joey was or anything like that. And guys, I'm looking to see if there's anything else that I missed, because there's so... Yes, another really big thing. The attorney for the plaintiff says that Will had doxed him. We all know what doxing is. Well, actually, they have a conversation as to what doxing is. Will claims he did not dox Joey. He did not release Joey's address. He knows Joey's address because of the TRO. He did not release it. He did not... Hey! Speak of the devil! You can't talk, but you kicked ass. Speak of the angel. And there they are. But Will obviously can't talk. So obviously, I'm speaking on behalf. Where are you guys headed now? Are you all done for the day? Cool. Beautiful. Well, hit me up. I might join you if you're protesting. So that was them. Cool. So the last thing we'll talk about is the doxing. The attorney for the plaintiff said that Will dox Joey. Again, as I mentioned before in my exchange, Will never released the last name of Joey, never released his information, never released his email, never released his phone number, never released his address. But the attorney for the plaintiff says the legal definition of doxing is simply revealing extra information that wasn't necessarily known before. Apparently, Will revealing the name of Joey and even naming the guy and also creating footage of him is creating material that wasn't seen before, and that could argue, and they argue that William did actually dox Joey. To say that is a massive stretch would be a massive understatement, quite frankly. In terms of any other follow-ups, last thing that I want to talk about is there was a big argument because one of the reasons they wanted to ask Joey about Will about the money he made is because the plaintiffs wanted to make an argument that that Will's work would still not be infringed on because he does all this audit the police at different locations. And they asked how many times has William showed up since the submission of the temporary restraining order. Of course, the answer is 0. And the attorney said, well, there are all these police audits, there are all these other things you could attend to, so clearly you're not missing out on that opportunity. So he wanted to make an argument that just because you can't be there necessarily doesn't mean you can't still do the work that you feel is important. Again, I think very, very much a stretch. Last thing. The lawyers for the plaintiff kept objecting when Good's attorney really wanted to follow up with Joey constantly bringing up Good's son, and she wanted Good to talk about some background about his son and how the death of his son kind of inspired him. His son was assassinated, inspired him to be an activist. Each time that happened, because perhaps it would make William seem like a more sympathetic character, the attorney for the plaintiffs objected. Luckily, the judge overruled that. And guys, the last thing I'll say is when you're covering the Scientology stuff, you're always wary as to whether or not the judge actually knows a thing or two about Scientology, because if they do, you know that they're playing with a different legal ballgame than other religions. We can think of the religious arbitration case where the judge unfortunately pronounced David Miscavige's last name as Miscavige, and clearly is treating the arbitration process like in Scientology and thinks it's done the same way that the Catholic Church would do it, or whatever else. Where was I going with this? I don't even remember, guys. I'm sorry. I'm a mess today. Not that much of a mess. Yes. Oh, about the judge. So the judge seems to be very aware of what Scientology is all about, and that they employ a lot of unique legal gizmos and gadgets and kind of operate very differently and operate in a way where people would lose their due process or their right for objectivity. So the good news is we're in good hands, I think, with the judge. The judge isn't necessarily anti-Scientology, nor should she be, but at least she understands how they operate and shot down a lot of the plaintiff's efforts to really kind of pick apart in unfair ways. So yeah, that's the crux of things. Things still look good, but of course Scientology is trying to delay, and the reason they're trying to delay is because they realize they're probably working with nothing and they just want to tie up Will and tie him up financially. But we'll keep fighting, and yeah, guys, I will be there on July 2nd to give you yet another rundown. Take care.